is not too relevant. It's only few they are going to migrate.
Mm.
So I say, okay,
Mm.
I'm on holiday next week. If I come back, they will continue the process how we are
Mm.
going to do the data
So
migration.
find out whether you guys are going to be using staging tables or you're going to do direct migration.
Yeah, because they said they are using one cockpit like that to migrate the data. So that's why I think maybe it's direct migration because they are going from this legacy system, the ECC to S4 HANA.
It doesn't matter.
Now,
In migration, you can use any of those, but just find out,
I'll
right?
find out.
What migration strategy are they using? Are they
Okay.
using
Okay.
staging tables or they're using direct,
Okay.
so that you can now know how to channel your learning. Okay, so let's just go on through data migration and we'll now move to the next thing. Let me explain the basics. Then please go through the session, the videos I'm going to share. Follow the steps. They are basically very, very simple. If you have a sandbox and you have access to this, remember that you cannot do data migration in SAC without Fiori. You need to be able to connect to the Fiori system before you can do data migration because they have removed it from GUI. So LTMC is not working again. What works now, especially from 2020 version of S4. So even your data migration depends on the version of S4 you're using. It's also very important. So basically, data migration is the process of transferring data between storage to systems, right? So it could be from a legacy system like from ECC to S4. It could be using templates like Excel or any other compatible means to transfer data from a legacy system or non-SAP system to an SAP system. And like I've said, there are consultants who this is their job, especially in large projects, right? They call them NDGs, Master Data Governance Consultants. They are basically in charge of handling every process to data migration. There is load, ETL, we call this ETL, extract, transport, or transfer and load. So they manage that whole data migration process. So they extract the data, do data cleaning, data mining, and all that until. So data migration is not just about migrating data. No, it has it has processes before you can finalize on the data you want to migrate and actually migrate and test. Yeah, it has process. That's why the professionals or PDAP specific people who basically handle the specific activity. But it's a one-off activity, so sometimes they might last. Like patient said, the person doing it has now moved into another functional mode because once it's done, it's done. Every other thing will be to just create data in the system. Yeah, so once it's done, it's done. It's basically a one-off activity, or it rarely happens basically. Because once you migrate, the thing or the next thing you can do if you want to change, you can revert your migration. So what you can do is mass change. You can actually carry out a mass change, the system after you have done your final migration. You can't do migration two times except you clean up and start again, and that will cost you a lot of time and effort. So that's why it's very, very important that before you migrate, you get sign off. Take go through the ETL process and get sign off and test before you say you have migrated. So it's a serious activity and it looks simple, but it's a very, very serious activity. So let's have that at the back of our mind so that if you want to take it as a responsibility, the essence of this course is to show you, let you know the severity or the extent of work that's involved so that you can know if you can merge it with your regular jobs. When implementing export solution, we can migrate our master data and transactional data. So in data migration, there are two types of data we migrate in S4. Migrate the master data and the transactional data. We do not migrate what do they call it now? Historical data in the sense that the Transactional data are open items. Items that are still open. They don't migrate things that have, transactions that have gone, stayed and gone. It's possible, but depending on the version of S4 you're using. But the two data you can migrate in S4 is master data and transactional data. Okay, so you can achieve data migration using migrate your data app in Fiori. As that 2020 to 2022 now, you cannot use LTMC. LTMC was the T code we used to use to do data migration, but that has been phased out. So what we have now is migrate your data, and that will have to be done through the Fiori app. Of course, data migration is important. That's how you move information from one system to another. Yeah, and it's also a very important part of the my project. Yeah, so during the explore phase, the data migration plan starts. Yeah, to the realize phase, you have different data migration processes to when you do your first migration test, and all that. So there are various activities that are involved in data migration. But of course, there's need for proper planning and controlled execution. You have to have sign-offs before you click anything migrate. Please make sure you have passed that information through to the users. They have signed off, and also you get approval before you migrate, because when you migrate, there's little much you can do to reverse. Right, so it's a very serious activity. Okay, we have talked about the app that we used to do migration. Before it was called NTMC, that's Legacy Transfer Migration Cockpit. That's what we normally use to do migration. Right now, it has changed. It's no longer the cockpit. We use migrate your data app in Fiori. So you need to note that down in case you have conversations in your meetings. Yeah, so we use migrate your app from 2020, and basically the migration. So basically, S4 migration cockpit uses migration object. Like I've said, it's very simple, right? You have, once you use your migrate your data app and select an object, you have different templates in the system that SAP has already provided for. Yeah, so you just have to populate the template and upload it back. Then the system will do the rest. It's as easy as that. Now, another very important tool we call LTMOM is called Migration Object Modeler. Now, when you do a data migration, or when you are trying to fine-tune your data, or at the process of migrating your data, there might be some requirements, some fields or some tables or some line items that the template has said that the template has made mandatory. So for example, there are some fields that the template that you downloaded say this field is mandatory. But however, according to your business process and the business information, that field is not, what you want to migrate is not migratory, but SAP's template has said is mandatory. So one way you can edit your migration template is through the migration object modeler. So it's used to basically it's used to edit, or add more features to the template that has been delivered by SAP. So you can also get that information in the video I also share. So you see here that if a template does not meet your business requirement, for example, if the relevant Excel file does not contain all the fields that you need for your target structure, you can use the S/4HANA migration modeler to adjust the relevant migration object. So you can use the modeler to adjust the templates. And I also share, like I said, I also share a video that shows you how you can do this, editing. But in most cases, you might not need to do that. But in case you need, there is an object called LTMOM, the migration object modeler. That's why migration is a serious business. Okay, so the migration object modeler is divided into 4 parts: the source structure, the target structure, the structure mapping, and the field mapping. So if you want to adjust the fields, which I would advise you, you don't do this on your own. Please make sure you are doing this with the instruction of if you're a functional consultant, with the guidance of a data migration expert. And there are structures within the system that you can adjust to meet those needs. So these are the structures. The source is the source of your data. The target structure is the migration object you want, the actual data in the migration you want to achieve. Target is the object you want to influence. Yeah, the tables and the fields and the.
You have a question.
Yes, please.
So if you want to migrate, you have also a source table, right?
Yes.
A source table. So
Yeah.
in sales distribution, when I was extracting the Excel sheets, I used this FABALC, that is Verkaufsbeleg Kopf. So I say this VBAC. So that's this one extract, and when I was taking using this table, I extract it with company code, so I could get all the data out.
Company code is always the strong, is always the basis.
Exactly. So I got everything out. So when they asked me, so, okay, source of the table, I only wrote, like in material management, they wrote EKKO and different types. For me, I only use this VBAC. So are there more source table from sales?
Don't worry. Don't worry. What we'll do when we get to FSD, you're going to learn a lot about these things.
Okay.
So just keep it pending. We'll see how we can manage all that. We'll see how we do all that. But just to help you understand migration, and also when you watch the video, the essence, because you'll be hearing this term, so the essence is to give you that background information that you need. But when we get into, we'll see practically how we can really go deeper into tables. Okay, and basically, the source structure is the source of your data. The target structure is the structure that you're targeting to create that change. Yeah, and mapping is to make sure that the fields between the objects are in line or the sync. Then there's also structure mapping, there's field mapping. So basically, these are high-level discussions, but the essence of this is to just give you a tip. When you get the sessions, you're going to get deeper information out. But if you're going to use the modeler, like I said, the migrate your app already has templates. However, if there is a need to edit or change the template, you can't do it on the SAP app. You have to use the modeler. So that's the essence of this message I'm trying to pass. So when SAP has delivered a template to you, and the requirement is that some of those, the template does not fit the migration purpose, that is when you have to engage the modeler. But if it fits, then you don't need to engage the modeler. So benefit of migrate your app is easier processing, record step is eliminated, no more consultant dependency to upload. So in migrating data now, you don't need, the thing affected the jobs of the MDGs because even anybody can migrate data as long as you're using the the template that is delivered by SAP, you're fine. If you don't need to use the modeler, well, good. But if you're using that template, then uploading data can just take a matter of minutes once you have uploaded the information. You fill the template and everything is fine. Yeah, and it's user-friendly. It's easy in filing templates. You can reuse those templates as much as you want. Okay, so for The requirements, it's very, very important you understand the business side of things. You have to plan for data migration. It's very, very important. Like I said, it starts almost at the planning phase of your project. You have to have a scope. So you have to define the scope of your data migration. You have to know who is involved, what kind of data are you getting, when are you getting it, who is supposed to sign off on it, how do you extract, how do you clean, all those stuff. You have to, come up with you have to scope the project for data migration. You have to come up with a responsibility matrix, who and who will be responsible for what. The upload tool, you have to be conversant with it. The template approach, the uploads, the verification, the sign off. So these are some core business activities that you would be engaged in if you're given a data migration task. Yeah, so in some migration objects I've also been involved in, I mean, you might not be responsible for uploading doing the actual migration. You might be responsible for doing the ETL, getting it from the users to your requirement gathering, cleaning it, using the templates like I've showed you to populate. Why somebody else's job might be to upload, or it might be the reverse. Whichever way you find whichever responsibility you're given, basically these are what you see as the requirements. So it's a very, very serious and very lengthy process also. Okay, like I've said, we said we migrate two types of data in SAP, right? We migrate data from basically all modules, SD, FI, MM, but FI is always the largest of data migration. Yeah, because migrating GLs alone is another thing. So first of the two types of data, one is master data. So you have GL account, customer list, vendor list, assets, cost elements, cost centers, and all that. So you have to migrate all this data. The second kind of data we do migration for is transactional data. So open items for customers, vendors, asset balances. So what we migrate is actually balances. Yeah, not the actual transaction that has come and closed. We have other, especially from 2021, 2020, 2021 upwards. So if you're using the Migrate Your app, it's either you're doing migrating master data or you're migrating transactional data, which is open items. Yeah. Okay, so the transactional data are open items for customers, GL line items, balances. So let's say, for example, you want to there are invoices that have been posted, but the invoices are still open, payment has not been done. Those kind of transactions you can migrate, into the system. So what are the migration data requirements, considerations, the size of the files, the staging, the kind of migration. Of course, what we're speaking here is staging tables. Like I've said, staging tables is the one that is most familiar with the functional consultants. Direct transfer, it's a little the little technical requirement. So you need to also discuss that with the migration consultant or the technical team. So the size of file you can migrate is 160 MB limit. System configuration none for files. For staging tables, these files is direct. For staging tables, you can, of course, the system uses S/4HANA database. For data provisioning, you can enter data manually in the file. You can also fill tables manually, so, but for direct is not here. Direct, like I've said, is to move data from ECC directly to S4 without having to go through any template. So, of course, if you're moving that, the interface between those two systems need to be defined and tested and run through. So, what are the main, well, whether it's finance, whether it's anyone, but The main migration activity is number one, preparation and migration of customizing objects. We're going to see that briefly. So you have to prepare and you have to transport all your customizations. Number two is data migration. Basically, you have to make sure all your data are transformed using the right model, that the template that SAP has, because you can't use an ordinary Excel to do your migration. You have to make sure you're using the exact template that is provided by SAP, because the template has some requirements that only S4 can accept. Okay, once you finish and validate all data migration activities, you set you set migration to be completed. But these are basically just some of the steps you can go through. Activities after migration. After the migration, when you have set the migration to complete, there are more activities. Of course, the activities will be for you to check, validate that what you have migrated is actually now in the system. Yeah. So during migration, before migration, during migration, and after migration. Before migration, you have to do your data cleaning, data requirement gathering, and all those activities. In the migration, you have to upload and go through all the data migration steps in the app. Then after, you have to actually go and confirm and validate that all the data you have migrated are actually now existing in the system. You've looked at the benefits. So this is just a screenshot of the steps. Yeah, so if you go to migrate your app, you will see once you click on it, you see create. When you do the create, you would select whether the options transfer data from file or staging tables. So whichever one is fine. So select the option. Retention has to do with the number of days that file will be open in the system. Then you come here and search for the object you want. Sorry, these screens are blurred. Then you download the templates. So briefly, when you go through the video sessions, you see all the steps live. Then you just follow the process, basically. So for me, I'll share the sessions with you. If you have a sandbox and you have access to the data migration app, why not try it, test it, start with small data, put in download, put it in, upload, and see what it feels like. So first things first, before you can, after going through the session, you need to request for the app called Migrate Your Data. If you don't have that authorization in your system, you cannot do data migration. So if you don't have the authorization as a user or as a consultant, authorizing you to do that, you won't have access to it. So you need to confirm that you have authorization to use the app, then you can take it up from there. Yeah. So so just stay tuned. I'm going to send those sessions to you guys. Just go through them. If you have any questions, then you can ask. I also have a video that I went through that step, so you can also check that out too. Let me also check. This is not up yet. So it's just a very simple wish this thing was up. Okay. Let's see. I'll keep checking. And once it's done, we could just go through it together. Even though you have had this time, even though I will send you the videos. Now, the next topic we're looking at is FSD, a very, very important topic for the functional consultant. In fact, FSD is what is a if you don't know data migration, then it's excusable, because I mean, it's not your job, right? Except you just work in a small project and they say migrate data, but it takes a lot to do. There's a lot of work to do when you talk about migration. So most likely they would have a team that does migrations. But you see this one, functional, even the word functional specification means you're a functional consultant, so you're supposed to be doing functional specification. Right, so this is the task of the functional consultant. Yeah, and it's very, very important. In fact, this is the learning. So once you can do your FSD, you have achieved a lot. So we'll see what it is. Then we'll have our time to now go through this session for the next 1 hour. We're now going to see how to come up with an FSD. Now, the SAP functional specification is referred to functional spec, and of course, it's critical to the object we call RISEF. So basically, how does this start? Just like we discussed in the BA, if you're implementing an SAP project and there are requirements that the business wants that SAP standard cannot deliver, however, SAP has the functionality. It's just that best practice cannot deliver that. So let me give you an example, and it's very popular. Most businesses have the way they want their invoice to look like. Most businesses have the way they want to report tax, the fields, the columns, how it looks, it should look like, what should be on the fields, what should be on the tables, and all that. Most businesses want to have they want, if they are going to do reports, they want to see some things in the reports, right? They came up and they said, oh, we want to run customer report. There's a requirement that they want to see in the report. They want to see the postcode, they want to see the address, they want to see just basic information. But if you run the SAP standard report, you won't see those specifications. So that is the essence of a functional spec. So a functional spec it can come up anytime. Yeah, as long as the standard cannot meet user requirements, the functional guy will start coming up with. If I show you my system, I'm handling 2 countries. You can imagine the amount of functional specs I will be doing for Nigeria and from Kenya, because these 2 countries have different requirements, different kind of invoice, different kind of some want correspondence, some want payment files that will hit the bank directly. So a lot of requirements. So this is where after you have learned configuration, this is also another major task the functional consultants is expected to do. And you cannot do functional spec if you don't understand your tables and your fields. And this is one of the main major purpose for this training. Okay, so a functional consultant writes an SAP functional specification anytime there is a gap between the standard SAP functionality versus the desired functionality. Functional specs may be necessary during end-to-end SAP implementation to address gaps identified in the business blueprints. Yeah, so they may also be required when an SAP add-on is purchased. So, or when you're using a third-party application, you will need a functional spec. They may also be required, okay, well, when an SAP add-on is purchased, when an enhancement is approved, or when a bug fix is raised. Basically, anytime you need a technical consultant to do anything, you need to write a functional spec. So guys, welcome to the world of the functional consultant. The technical consultants, they don't know English. In fact, a functional spec has little English. What you'll be seeing there, let me show you. I think I just did one when I was just trying to have fun. And we'll probably see how we can come up with one.
Let me just add some things, Kelechi.
Yes, please add.
The specification is really sometimes it can be very, very difficult how you fix it and everything. Because
it's not sometimes. It's not sometimes. Every time.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote one that this was on invoice position. That's position on invoice. You write it and you send it to the developer how they want it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pages I don't understand. Just to tell them this invoice, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I was angry. And it took me to write all these things. And I noticed the guys, the German guys are patient. Please, you have to write specification. I have to write specification for the app. Also,
Yes, like I
for
said, now it's a third party. Anything you want from technical guys to do, don't even bother yourself. Just go and write it.
Yeah, you must write it too.
Yes,
Specification.
because functional spec is the authority to design it.
Yeah.
It's not with mouth
Yes.
or with English. And when they are designing it, they are built, they understand the tables and the fields that are required. They don't know any other thing. If you give them screenshot, they don't know what you're talking about.
It's true. Screenshots is true.
Just tell them, screenshot is for them to visualize, but you have to write the things that you want them to see.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
step
so the goal is to enable the developer to create a technical design document, identify test scenarios so that testers can know what to execute, convey the result of stakeholders so that they can know what they are getting, and also as a historical reference. So this is why you need to come up with a functional spec. Yeah, and I've put so the content, you can see an example. There is no standard format. In fact, every project, everywhere you go, there are different kinds of requirements, but the content is what is most important to the technical team, not how you design the document. Now, in doing functional, how do we solve gaps? So when we did requirements gathering, if there are gaps in the standard processes, how do we close those gaps? We close those gaps in SAP using what we call RICEFs. So RICEF is an acronym that says workflow, reports, interface, customization, enhancements, forms, and applications and transactions. I don't know where this A came from. I think there is a C. Okay, C here means custom development. And S, where is my S? Okay, so I think I need to check this. So basically, what is this about? So part of the job of the functional consultant taking over from the BA is that when the BA has identified this gap, it is a functional consultant that will tell you whether this gap will be closed by a workflow, whether it will be closed by a report, whether it will be closed by an interface, whether it will close by customization, whether it will close by enhancement, whether it will be closed by a form. So when the functional consultant has analyzed the situation, he can now deploy any of these options to close those gaps. So now let's have a practical session. Let's see let's see how to write a functional specification. Then we'll take it up from there. First of all, of course, you have to come up with a scenario. So let me see if I have a scenario to come up with. Let me just check. Sorry, just a second. Okay, so let me see.
Can I suggest a scenario?
Okay, but my problem would be to get I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah,
My
okay.
problem would be to get the fields now. But okay, suggest, let's see. Just suggest.
Invoice. We write a specification on invoice, maybe
Okay,
invoice header.
Okay, okay, I have this scenario, but let me do your own. Let me see how we can. So what is the scenario?
Forms on invoice header.
Scenario. No, what happened? That's the requirement. What do you want? What happened before this thing? What's the story behind the forms?
Okay, the forms, maybe the customer wants that, like maybe their logo to be in a different way.
Okay. What kind of form is that? What's the name of the form?
Okay, that the form now there's this system, different kind of form in A4 system.
Is it
Okay,
sales order form
is
or
it a sales
purchase
order? Is it
order
an
form
invoice?
or invoice?
Invoice. I said invoice.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Invoice header.
Okay. Okay. Don't worry. Let me just come up with the scenario. The requirements and everything invoice. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so basically the functional space is to come up with a form. So the title will be okay. So let's go and let's do something. Let's get a sample form so we can visualize what it will look like. Are we there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let me download this invoice. So let's assume, where is the one that has logo now? Okay, let's assume. No, I think I need, okay. I don't know how much time we have, but let's see how far we can go. Let me download this. Let me copy this image, put in my functional spec. So, okay. So, reduce this guy. Okay. Okay, so we have dropped the sample of the form. So let's start with coming up with the functional spec. So, like I said, there is no standard format, but let me put the basic things that will be on the body. So you have to have a prepared by, right? You have to have the title of the person. You have to have a signature / date. I think you can have approved by, because you have to. So you can have this as first draft. With the name and the title of the person or the position. And to okay, so you can fill up everything. I think then you can have something like the description. You can have the technical name. That might not be. I won't fill up all these things, but the one I will have to do is the description. Description of the business process. There's a lot of business process. Then you should have reason why the standard process is not fit. Yeah, I think then other assumptions if you have. Okay, so of course we have the description of the business process. Please mute your mic. So they want, so they basically want to have this invoice, and they want to have a customized invoice and other things, right? I won't go so deep into details. Prepared by, so you can put your name here. You can put the title. Then you can put the date, like. Put the technical name. All right. So once you are done, I think you can put the assumptions. The next thing assumption is that if they don't have this thing, they might not be able to invoice customers. It's a legal requirement. So you can say legal and business requirements. Yeah. And of course, if this doesn't happen, then you cannot do business. Then the chief of them all is the specification. I think specification requirements. That's where you start building. Yeah. So, so let's start, right? So, so the first things first. So we'll start from here. So the first things first, you need to show us the standard in SAP that did not meet. So what I will do is, we don't have a form in SAP, but I'll just show you. We can just go to the system and get the process of raising an invoice. I will do that. I don't have an SD company here. So pardon me, let me do that from the FI side, because I can't get a display. So let me do, or let me go to SD, logistics, sales and distribution, billing, sales, billing, invoice list. So, billing, so I think this is what we are looking for. Okay, so the first thing you can do is to show us the standard, the process of getting the standard. So let me just do this so that the technical team can also see what you want. I don't want to save anything. So you can just do a screenshot to tell the technical team that this is where the document is. What's the transaction code? VF, is it
VF01.
VF01? Okay, it's not this one then.
That's invoice for sales.
Yes. Where do I get?
VF01, VF02, VF03.
I'm looking for the it's under, it should be under billing document.
Yes, yeah, VF, yes, yeah, VF, to create is VF01, yeah.
So let me, so you have to share this somewhere. The guy can also check if he wants to check. So you copy this. You can use sniping tool in your this stuff.
Yeah.
So you have this guy, right? Okay, so let's show him that. Then the journey starts, right? So the first things first, you now pick this guy and start dissecting this guy one after the other. So let's say we have like 4 columns here. Let's insert a table. Why is it not inserting? It's not clicked here.
Well,
Okay.
most of the time, if you are writing the specification, most of
Yes.
the time I just go to the company existing, because most of the time they say they want their invoice to be like in their own old system, you know, the way they use their old invoice. So I just copy, get a copy of their invoice, just screenshot it. I say, okay,
That's why we have this now. This is the copy of the invoice here.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So we have file description. We can have details. Specs.
Amount.
No. Don't worry. I said they have different ways of doing this. Now, the first things first, right? The first thing on this invoice is so what you can do. So if I open this invoice, for example, sorry guys, let me just expand it and let it cover one page. Now you have to label the requirements. Now, I will insert this, select this box. So you need to learn how to use all these small tools. No, this is not what I'm looking for. Where is my okay, let's see. It's not. No. Let me do something very fast. Let me go to PowerPoint. So let me do something fast because Word will not give me. Let me save this here. Yes. No, it's not. Okay, let me save it. Let me rest. Okay. Then I'll put this. Now I'm going to bring this invoice here. Now you need to have it here. Let me just bring this invoice here. Paste it. I'm going to be working from here. So I have this guy. Let me make this smaller. I like what is that? I can make it bigger. Okay. Now I'm going to start tagging these things. I'll just do 1 or 2 or 3 so we can take it up from there. So I have this box. I'm going to start with the logo. All right. This is the logo. I'm going to add some colors to the line. Make it a little bit thicker. Not understanding this. What's wrong with my hand? Make it thicker. I'm going to select this and copy, paste, reduce it, and call this, put this here, and call it 1. I'm going to paste it again. Put this guy, this is address. So copy this, call this 2. So the address is 2. I'm going to paste again. No, copy this 1. Call this is a text. Text is 3. New voice. I wish I had something big. Okay, let me I'll just do the header. Yeah, so that we can achieve. If you can do any one, then it's fine. Let me make it bigger. So this is 1. This is 2. Invoice is 3. Oh. Bill 2. Bill 2 as a text. Then you need to now get bill 2 for the custom, for the vendor, and for the address. I'll still put numbers on them. Let me just get then invoice number, then ship to as a text, then ship to as an address, the vendor name and address. Then invoice dates. Invoice dates. Copy this. Payment terms. Due dates. So let me stop here. We can go on and on. So these are the fields that. So I will collect this one. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. Let me just finish this. This is 5. Vendor name is there. 5. I'm not sure we'll do all of them. The address is 6. This is 7. I think we'll stop here. I think we have represented it. So we want to start. So we'll start logo. So you go back. You go back to your Word. Go to number 1. Logo. Then you come here. Business logo. Then the specification or what you have as what you want to do. Then of course, logo is not something you design on the system, right? So logo, you can tell the technical team to adopt as given.
No, you can tell him to shift to the left side or to the right side.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they know that you cannot, logo is not It's something you just have to. So whatever English you want to use, the most important thing is that when he reads it, he knows that logo, you have to use what you have. You have to, or you can tell him to import as given, or check anything he wants to check. Then number 2 is this should be this is our company name, right? Great. So we have to remember this thing. This is my problem with FSD sometimes.
Yeah, but I think it's their company address.
Yeah, name and address. It's the company name and address. So let me just.
So we say logo up, then company address under.
Exactly. So you can just write it. That's why you need to give them a picture so that you don't talk too much. If you don't give them a
picture and a table.
Yeah, so normally what we do is that we do this thing I'm doing on PowerPoint, we do it first. We'll just have to design it first. Like you come up with a design first, like what you're envisaging to, so that the guy can also have a visual. So if I'm sending him the FSD, I'm sending him together with this PowerPoint. Normally we reference the PowerPoint on the field here. We copy it. I'll show you what we do basically. So if I'm done with this, for example, what I will do is that I will say sample design. Then you come here. You can screenshot this. So that he can screenshot this, go to your Word, and paste. So what he's seeing is where you're mapping these values from. He's seeing it. So you don't need to say it's at the top left. He will see it that is at the top left. But if you want to write, you can write. But anyone is fine. Just that if you make the work easier for him, it will also be easier for you. But if you want to speak plenty grammar, well, so
yeah, they like plenty grammar.
Grammar, yes. My project, they just like you to show them, just give them visuals as you can, so that you reduce, because they're in a lot of projects. You don't have that time to be reading plenty things. The next thing is company code, company address. So this is where the work starts. It's company name rather. Can say company name, more like the code. Okay, name is fine. Then the details is name of company.
An address.
No, address is another. Remember, we're following the numbering.
Okay.
Yeah, we're following the numbering. That's what will guide us. Now, this is where the work starts. So you have to. The question is, in the specifications, what we're supposed to now start adding is the technical names, because outside this logo that you have told him that please adopt as given, you now have to start. This company name would have to, we can even start with the company code, whichever one you want. So let's start. So how do we get the company name, the technical name for the company name? That's where the functional consultant work start, because you can't put company, you can't give him the name is Z, this, no. You have to go into the system and get. So let's go to SE16N. Now, basically, SE16N is a table, like I've explained initially. It's a table where you can get a lot of your fields. You can get your field name, you can get the field values, the technical names, and it's widely used by functional consultants. The problem now is that we have gone to SE16N. How do we know? You have to tell the system the table where the company name will fall. So there are different ways you can do that. I don't even have it on my head as I speak to you. But most times you have to now use your, you can Google, you can go into the system like I told you how to find tables. You can do, in fact, you can have a library of table names, whatever one you like. Okay, so for company code or table that will have company information, so let me check. So let me just show you what I'm going to do naturally. So I'm going to go to Google sometimes if I don't have the time. I can say table name. Let me just tell you table name for company. Yes.
Are they all the same on this on SAP?
Yes, company code in SAP.
Okay, all table names are almost all the same thing.
They are the same. They are the same. So you see, the system has given you a table name T011.
Okay.
I can copy this. Then if I go to my system, I'll come to the table and put it here. You can remove this maximum hit, let it give you everything. Then you execute. Yeah. So once you execute, the system pull out all the tables that are related to company codes. Remember, this table T001 is for company codes. And inside company codes, you have the code, you have the name, you have the city. In fact, the first thing we're supposed to have here that shouldn't be is a code, because from the code you can now get the name. So let's just make this asterisk. Let's make it, since we didn't put it in there, I don't want to go back and do anything again. So in code, it's not in the form. You can see here what is in the form is the company name. So let me save us that stress. So just follow what is on the form so we don't overdo. Okay, now I have seen my company code. You cannot just, how do I get the table name? You can come here and just double click the line. Yeah, just double click this line. It's going to open all the fields and the table. This is the table name. These are the technical field names. This is company name. You see, once I double click, I've seen company name. This is the field I'm looking for. But how did I get to this field? I processed this table, but I did not enter any company code because this thing took me straight to company code. Yes. Normally, so let me show you guys something so we get it clear. So once I did T001, this is where the system should bring me to naturally. So if you do T001, the system should take you here and it will ask you to provide the parameters you want to use. So I want to use a company code to find my company name. So the company code is test, right? Which is the company code that I'm working with and the name of the business I want to provide solution for. If I put test here, I click on execute, which is the company code. It will bring me to the information in the company code. And the information in company code, you can see my company name. But the system does not, technical team doesn't want you to give this. They double click in and go inside to get the field name. So you can see the company name. So first things first. So you go to the, let's stop here. Let's do this first. Let's come here first. So the first thing is I provided the table name and I added the company code. So you come here, say pass, it could be any English, or some people have different ways of writing it. Some people say adopt, some people say I've forgotten those terminologies, but you can tell the technical guy pass T001 from you can say selection screen. Some people don't write this much. SE16N. Yeah, if you pass this, you can say and derive value. Or you can say get value. Get value for. Then the next thing we did after we passed this, we got the value in company code, which is BUKRS. Copy this. I tell the system get value for BUKRS. Yeah. When you say BUKRS, you can now say BUKRS and
This BUKRS is company code for
exactly, yes, and get field. Then what did you do when you passed? You now executed, and you now got into the system to get the field for company name. This is the company name. Copy. Get field. This. This get field this for company name. Company name. Some people they put in brackets, put the company name just so that everybody is fine. So what have I done here? I've just, first of all, remember we have solved this one. This is number 2. I'm telling the system, how does it get company name in SAP? First, he has to go use the table name T001. In the SE61 selection screen, you should get the value big UKRS, which is company code, and get the field BUTXT for company name. So that's how he will get this company name to fill in this form here. And you can also say, he has seen the form, so he knows the position. So you don't need to say left, right, up, down. But some people do that. So there's no standard way. Just make sure that you're providing the right information for the technical guy to do his work. Then the number 3 is address. Number 3 is address. Some people don't write as much as this. They will just say pass TU001, get BUKRS equal to this. Do you understand? So people have different ways of writing this, but the most important thing is to get the facts. Number 2 is company address. Company address. So you can say here, company name, you can come here, please, and just put, normally what we do, we come, what's the name of this company? Ziegler Thread and Wave. Let me just use my own, the one I saw there. Just, let me go back. Yeah, just pardon me. Let me use the one I'm seeing here. I don't have strength. Assuming, or let me do this. Let me just follow the distance bumper to bumper. Where is the sample document? Let me see. Okay. Ziegler. Let me just. Okay. Can somebody snap it and call it for me so that I can be writing? I don't have the strength to be going up and down.
I said, you want to show the SAP screen again, or which one?
No, don't worry. Let me just SZY.
Just put something simple
ZY.
there, so you don't need to write it in full. Just
Okay,
at least it's for our training.
Yes, let me just do this. It'll be fine.
Okay, simple.
And the company address, we can say, let me just show that it looks 14 Northern Street. 14 Northern Street. Now, the next is, how do we get company address? So you go back again. Now, there is no company address here. Let's
There's
check.
there's address there.
There's address here.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
Just
Address. Okay. Yes. However, there is also a table for address. Let me show you, and that's the confusion most times
That's
have.
exactly where I was coming to. That we can
Yeah,
also check
you see, this is table for company code.
Mm-hmm.
There's a table for address.
Address.
So technical table for address. AVD. So you copy this. Okay, see the table name. Let me see. Okay, this is the table. Let me try this. Let me make it to customer address so it should be specific. Okay, see, go and see in table 4. Okay, let me try this. So normally I have normally when you go to project, you have a list of all these things. So okay, so this is address. So there's a table name for address. So most times what consultants will do is that when they see address in a field, they will not go and pick it. But sometimes it's not very right because there are table names for some of these things. So you have to look for the table names for these activities. So in the address, you have to enter a number. Let's say you can click the drop down and see if there's any number here. You just enter number 1. Then you execute. So there are 2 activities here. We have entered this table. We have put number 1 in the technical name, address number. So let's write the spec first. So you go back. Not save this guy. For you people will finish me now.
You send us the document later now.
No, that's why I want to save it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can also write it in a similar way when
exactly. So I'm just copying and pasting. So pass. Yes. Pass. I'm supposed to write pass table. This is good. So pass table. The table name I used was ADRC. So pass table ADRC from selections currency 1. Get value for. So I got the value for the address in this. This is the technical name for address number. And for address this. And get field. So let's go into the system and execute and get the field for address. So this is the customer name. Let's double click to see. Okay, this is the where's the address?
Address number.
This address number. I want to see the. Okay.
It's been divided into different. It is
yeah.
Number and everything.
Yeah. So you see, for city, for the city.
I guess the address name is that one. You know, we are looking for the address name.
Yes, name. So it's the first one. I can pick the first one. Yes, this one. Name 1.
Yeah, that's just put the name here.
So I'll go down here, change this, paste. If you look inside this thing, there is postal code.
Yes, and city.
And city. So you can come here.
You need to also provide all those information then.
Yeah, so.
Yes, they will come back to you and tell you to repeat it. It's not clear.
But for copy address to get address. To get address.
They get on your nerves, I tell you.
Then you go back and say, if you don't want to create so many fields, you go back and say for postal code, get this one.
But me, I always say, at the end of the experts, they always work with these field names and everything. And since it's more like SAP give the same standard, they're supposed to know it off it.
Yeah, so
to make trouble.
Field address. If you want to just specify, they know these things, but for where? Because tomorrow if they don't postal code, then I think city. I'm just putting. Normally, all these things should have number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm just putting all of them inside one, so that the guy can help himself. City.
Developers, they don't have themselves. You give them
Now you
everything.
go do city is city 1. Oh, my session has ended. Why?
It has expired.
What did I copy? I went to copy another thing. Let me just run through this again. So city is 1. Yeah. So you have told him where to get all. So you're supposed to paste the all the address here. Number 4. Go to number 4. Number 4, invoice. So invoice is a text. So if you go here, you see the way they call. Let me show you the title. So for text, just tell them to notify them that this is a text. But there are some that have text fields. So let me see. So this is email, phone number, streets. Let me see. This has text field. So it's okay. Okay. It's title. Okay. So invoice, tell them adopt as text. Invoice documents text 5. Number 5 is build to also adopt as text. Adopt as text. Number 6 is the customer name. So which field do we use for customer name? If customers are forgotten this the nomenclature now.
The one we use for customer name.
LFA1, not be LFA1. I'm looking for KNA1.
Kundnam.
Yes.
KNA.
KNA1. So you come to KNA1. General data for customers. Then here you can put the customer number or customer name. Let's see if there's anyone. So the system will go to your company, put the company code you want. Or you can put the customer name if you have the name. EST. Search. So let's select this name. So this is the customer number. They put the customer number here. So let's do this functional spec, the customer name. And you can say pass table ANA1 from selection screen S16N. Go to KUNN arrow. To get field. So let's check the field. People don't write all this, but okay. No, the customer number. Let's we get past this, which is customer number, and get and get field. What was the field? So if we execute, is the customer name. So double click, go up. Customer name is name 1. I think it will end in the next 4 minutes. What else? What else? What else? Customer address. We can still get that in KNA1. Okay, this is the address because you can get it here in the general data. So let's go. So come down 7. As KNA. The only thing that changed here is the address itself. So yeah, so you keep, I think we're going to end here. So you keep going and going and going and going until you provide all the details. See, we're just doing the header items. There are
Position also.
yes, there are positions, there are descriptions, the content of the item, subtotal, tax rate, and all that. So by the time you only do one, see how long it has taken us to do just one. Yeah, so that is how you go to different tables, source the tables. Some of them, if they are regular, you need to write them down. Some of them you can Google. Some of them you can have a note. Let me see if I have. There's this note I used to have for tables. I don't know if I still have them now. Okay. Display. No, this is T codes.
Kelechi, I don't mind if you send me the tables because sometimes to find the tables is getting on.
Yeah, I will check. I think I used to have something on. Let me see. Is this tables? Oh, okay. Let me see if this is it. No, this is what. Okay, this is a presentation. No, this is not. This is part of the class. But there is a document. If I see it, I'm going to send it. That has list of tables, so that you can. So what I do most times, the popular ones, I write them down. The rest, I Google or go through a list. But Googling is good. You can get it fast, and any of those options. So guys, this is how to write an FSD, and it is time consuming, especially when you have a lot to do, right? So I think we're going to wrap up here. I'm going to check for our next session. We're going to talk about transport. Yeah, because this is also this is also a very, very important topic for the functional guys. When you configure your system in SPRO, you need to be able to move them from one client to another. Very, very important. So let me just show you guys before we go. Okay, so let's go to SEO now, for example, which is a transporter. I just want to give you guys briefly so that you look forward to it. So basically, let me see my configs. Okay, so you see when you configure system, it will always ask you for the request. It will also ask you for the customization request or the transport request. And everything you configure goes to the transport organization and waits for you, right? So how do you release this, and how do you transport it to another client? So when you're in a project, they will tell you, oh, once you're configured in development system, you need to release your configuration or transport it depending on the setting. In my current project, once you go to release, the system automatically tells you to select the client you want to release it to, and the thing takes it there straightforward. In some other systems, you might have to release, then go to another T code SCC1 to now receive it, different full processes. But the take home is that after you've configured your system, done your configurations in a client, let's say development client, it is the job of the functional consultant to release the configs. Then it's the job of the basis team to so the functional consultants will release, the basis team will now validate it, to the and of course move it to the exact clients that the functional consultant wanted to release it to. Or in some other project, you do the 2 steps. In some projects, the functional guy will just release, and when he releases, the basis team will see all his release and send it to the next server or client he wants it to go to, because there's normally an email conversation. In other projects, you release and you will also send it to the client you want it to get to. So we're going to look at that next week. We're going to look at that, and we're going to also look at, we're also going to look at other very important issues like, handling messages. There's a lot more we have. So let's stay tuned and troubleshooting for errors. How do we do this in real time? Like, how do you interface with users, especially when you're doing UAT and when you're supporting the users? So thank you very much, guys. I have a couple of things to send to you. So I have a session almost immediately. Once I'm done with the session, I'm going to send out this video, send you also the videos I promised, and send you everything I think you need for you to go through with this session. I think that is that. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys, and let's have a great weekend. Any questions?
Okay, Kelechi, yeah, this part that you just showed now, troubleshooting errors in SF.
Yeah.
In fact, it was part of the question the guy asked yesterday.
Oh, I see.
Like, okay, as a functional user, right?
Yeah.
That I should describe some of the system errors that either myself or someone encountered, and how did I, resolve those issues. I'm happy that you are bringing it up now. Okay, that's great. This will be the next session, right?
Yes, this will be the next session. This and then transport. You can also ask you, how do you do transport? How do you transport? FSD, transport, error are 3 things that, and of course, they won't focus much on data migration, because that thing is, for me, it's another person's work altogether. Because it is not just about moving data. It's not about migrate your app. No, it's about following. And that's also one thing I want you to take note of. When you're in a project, please be professional, right? You need to know the requirement. You need to know what is expected of how do I put it now? You need to know the requirements for this particular task and ask if those requirements have been done. Before you do data migration, you need to have a data migration plan. You need to have a data migration strategy. You need to be able to do your ETL. So you have to ask all these questions, because it's easy to just accept the responsibility and say, oh, I want to do it. No, but data migration is not just about moving data, because when you move it and you move the wrong thing, that's when they will now ask you, what procedures did you follow?
Exactly. Me, I told them I've not done it before.
Yes.
I don't
So
want
what
anything.
you would, yeah. So what you would do is that it's fine. You have not done it. However, I would love to be part of the team, so that let them give you one, so that you can understand the process, understand where you're coming in, and follow it like that, because it is a very, very tedious task. And once there are issues with migration, they know that it's issues with migration. It's not anything.
You know that
So
all that are not migrated. So
exactly. So you have to be very careful and know that it's just like you're a functional consultant, it has its own set of activities and processes, sign-offs, all those blah, 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 blah. All those things needs to be followed. The data needs to be clear, it needs to be certified, it needs to go through those approvals before you start migrating. So this is the essence of this, so we can share your thoughts. So especially if it's in project. So what I do is that any experience I don't have, I will let you know that this is it, right? This is my exposure. I don't mind supporting, but for me to go and put me front there, no, I've not done it before.
You just know my mind has articulated. That is what I'm talking.
So that let them involve a professional for that activity, then I can support the person, because I also have my own area, my own field. That's what it is. Even when you come to technical things too, the much I can do is give you FSD. I cannot come and start doing technical work for you to tell you the API and all those things. There are people whose responsibilities are that. Until I've probably grown or have enough information, then I can advise. But this is the much I can do. So, well, thank you, everyone. Let's have a great weekend. Please just remind me tomorrow so that I can send out all these things. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks,
you.
man. Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye.